Welcome to the After the Show movie podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Ascully and Cidtalk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Welcome, Cidtalk. Welcome to this fine day. How are you doing?
Very welcome, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I am very welcome, thank you.
Do you feel most welcome?
I feel very most welcome. Is that right? Right answer?
I'm going to start this off by saying Happy Halloween. Is it Halloween yet?
It is.
Oh, it's finished.
364 days.
All right.
Close enough. Close enough.
We celebrated Halloween by watching Terrifier 3.
Yes.
We did. We'll talk about it later in the podcast.
Okay.
Anything else you got?
For the before the after the show discussion?
Yes.
No, really. You were working on some audio stuff, and I'm over here playing City Skylines, and that's about it.
All right.
It's highly active here before the big podcast.
Let's get on to the show then. I don't know what that is. Mick Jagger, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know where Mick is from.
I think he's a British man.
I know he's British. We all know he's British. Are you saying everyone in Britain is the same? Is that what you're saying now? Because
They're all
fought
similar.
against that stereotype your whole mental life.
Let's get on with this. Let's do
Here
we go. It's Friday, November the 1st. Happy November, everybody.
Happy times.
On your weekly movie review podcast called After the Show, episode 863, we're looking at a new movie, and this week's movie is Trap. It's a 2024 release, out now, Blu-ray, 4K, and streaming, rated PG-13, runtime 1 hour and 45 minutes from our friends at Warner Brothers, who sent us a copy of the 4K disc for review. Cidtalk, can you give us the synopsis of the movie Trap?
A synopsis is
the description of a movie in 2 lines or less.
I know what a synopsis.
Oh, I thought you'd forgot what a synopsis was.
No. I'm good with what it is. I'm trying to think of a synopsis for this movie without. Are we going to do spoilers? Are we going to say what?
Not in the synopsis. That's the key with the synopsis.
But see, the synopsis is
you
part of the spoiler.
You don't spoil the movie in the synopsis.
We go to a concert of a singer.
All right, that's
a synopsis.
Spoilers.
And then there's pie.
All right, I'll give you the real one off the box.
All right.
A father and his teen daughter attend a pop concert, only to realize they've entered the center of a dark and sinister event. I don't know if that's... Yeah. All right, so let's start this off by saying this is an M Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie.
Do you think he would really appreciate that you call him that? Are you the only one? Possibly not.
Probably not. So
probably not.
There's a twist, probably, possibly, and maybe spoiler.
Most definitely.
We would definitely have to say spoiler warning. Go and see the movie, come back, and then listen to what us degenerates have to say about it.
We'll just sit here and wait.
Yes.
Do you think they've watched it yet?
Probably. So they're back. Everybody's back. We're all
excellent.
back. We're meeting here to talk spoilers about the movie Trap in a kind of a review / spoiler-filled extravaganza.
You've done a lot of side talking today.
All right, Cidtalk, what did you think of the movie Trap?
I really enjoyed it. The end.
Did you feel like you was trapped?
I did not. I actually just really enjoyed it. Kind of in a movie watching mood. So I feel like I just sort of decided, you know what? Whatever this is, I'm in. I'm all in. And from that moment on, Josh Hartnett is awesome. The story, I enjoyed the story. I like the subtleties and the possibility of a big twist. You know, I mean, I was all in. So sometimes the mood of your brain will dictate your enjoyment of a movie. Right. I might watch it again in 5 years with a completely different mind and think something else. But today, I really enjoyed it. I think I liked, it's well made. Do you know what I mean? Like, it looks good. Like, watching Josh Hartnett particularly and the little girl. I mean, all of it's just like quality stuff. The concert's really good. Did you find the same experience?
Well, we've seen all of M Night Shyamalan's movies, right? We haven't ever missed one.
far as I know.
You know, there's an expectation there shouldn't be, but there is, right? And this movie, I feel like it lays out all its cards in the first 10 minutes. It's like, hey,
pretty quick.
In fact, at the end of the movie, I was like, I wonder how you would make a trailer for this movie without ruining it. So I went and looked at the trailer. And the trailer basically shows you the first 10 minutes of this movie.
Okay.
It actually reveals what's happening in the trailer. So if you'd seen the trailer going into this movie, you would already know.
But see, here's the deal. You say it reveals what's happening. You and I disagree about what the trap is. We know what he is quickly. Yeah. Well, it's alluded to. So we're going into spoiler territory here, right? We find out very early that this dad who's all sunshine and light and takes his daughter to the concert is not what he appears to be. There's something dark going on there, right? That's very quick.
He's a serial killer.
Right, but we don't know that immediately. We only know that he's involved in something dark. They've said there's a serial killer, and then he seems to be hinted at that it's him, but we don't know that.
He has two things, world's best dad and serial killer.
Right, but we don't know that he's the serial killer. There are still question marks. Even after some hints have been revealed.
But then
you're sure.
In the 12th minute of the movie, he pushes a lady down the stairs. And that's where you're like...
That didn't even bother me as much as the oil.
That didn't make you think this guy is an absolute twat. What's he doing?
He's a twat, yes. I wouldn't use that word, but yes, that. But until the oil incident, you know, the oil was even worse.
Yeah, let's say he hurt some people during this movie.
Just innocent people at this fucking concert, and you want to be like, dude, what?
And interestingly, what I liked about this movie is it's not a gnarly kill fest.
No, not at all.
It's all about like, oh, he's killed. You hear people say he killed some people, or we found these bodies. Or,
there's no gore.
No, apart from somebody getting burned by chip fat.
Right.
You see that he did some harm to somebody.
But we see like crime scene photos they're not gory at all. They're just, what's happened.
It's just like, here's some bodies under some sheets.
And some people... Two people say like, he chops them up into pieces. And then you're like, your mind starts filling in the gap.
So everything is...
But what is the trap?
What is it?
Explain to the people with the big spoiler. What is the trap? What do you think the trap is?
Surface level, they trapped him in this concert, but that's not the trap. You think that's the trap, right?
No. I don't.
No, I mean, people would think that's the trap.
Right, because
it's actually telegraphed to you, isn't it?
Well, they say the words, this concert is a trap, but it's not. We get down to the point where the wife actually knows what's going on, and she kind of sets it up, and, he thinks it's the FBI. I mean, it's not a big...
It's not very...
exciting trap.
No.
But...
There's, the M Night Shyamalan moment that you might get from some of his other movies. It does not have that.
But see, that might be your own trap.
That.
You've set a trap for yourself for what you expect.
Yes.
Yeah, see there? He turned it around on you.
Because I wasn't particularly surprised even by the wife part at the end.
No.
So I guess it didn't, if it was supposed to be like some surprise, that part, it wasn't. Because I even said to you, I think she might have poisoned that. before it was even apparent what was happening. Yeah, it didn't work on that level for me if it was indeed supposed to. But what it did work on a level of, you know what it reminded me of? Even though it's got this modern setting, it's in this big pop concert, there's music happening. Reminded me of like an Alfred Hitchcock deal. Because even though it's a big thing, it's a small thing. It could be in one room. Let's say we took the plot and made it be in one room. You get what I'm saying? It's like a taut thriller kind of thing. Yeah,
like you could have just somehow got this pop star to the house as a prize for the daughter and then had the whole thing right there in the house. Yes, I know what you're saying.
So it's like it feels like aside from the grand scale of it, it feels like a small play. Like it's just this taut, unwinding thing that you're not quite sure how it's going to go ever. Because it does have its surprises along the way. Mostly the surprises are how the hell's he going to get out of this place? He's all over the place too, isn't he? He's like, even his daughter realizes, my dad's being really weird.
It's acting weird, yeah.
During a concert, there's a part where a male singer, let's say, rises up from under the floor like they do in concerts. And there's a hole where he rose up from, and the dad's like to the daughter, why don't we go down that hole? It's awesome. Look it down there.
And tell them why. He wants to escape.
He wants to escape.
We haven't even told them the thing yet, though. So once they arrive at the stadium or the arena for this concert, there are FBI and police with machine guns everywhere. And we just see him looking. He notices. And then we see them escorting individual men out of the crowd, like to some unknown list, and he watches. So you're not sure why. He's curious, or he's observing, like, why there's so much police at this concert, right? So then as we reveal that Dad is not a nice person, and he's very potentially the person they're looking for, because now we've established they're going to trap everyone in this concert. No one's leaving here until we catch our man, right?
Exactly.
Then he starts the slow process of unraveling, which I think it builds that tension. And he looks for any way to escape, literally through the floor, through the back door. By doing the fire alarm, he wants all these things he's thinking of doing to escape. And now we're building that, like, oh, Dad's feeling trapped. And then he turns and he's Mr. Wonderful Dad again. It's a really interesting, like, at first you want him to escape because you're like, I don't know what this guy's done, but I don't want him to trap him.
Side. You are on his side for about 8 minutes.
A little bit.
Yeah. But then even when you know that he's the killer, there are moments where he's real charming and you can't help but go, oh, he's pretty charming. But then you're like, okay, he did push a lady down the stairs.
Yeah. There's that.
I can't get behind that.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I liked the story. I don't think I've ever seen a movie set in a pop concert before.
No,
I thought that was
it was really good.
Yeah, interesting. Like an interesting place to be.
Absolutely.
Because it's a very specific scene as well, because it's a lot of teenage girls watching their heroine. They know every single line to every song. They're all kind of in a trance almost, like watching her.
And then there's this mini drama going on inside of it all.
Yeah, so I think that part I really liked, because I definitely haven't seen that. We didn't mention the music. The concert is Lady Raven. So she's like a big pop star, like a Taylor Swift or something. Played by M. Night Shyamalan's real-life daughter, who is a singer. So it's actually a real concert going on in front of you, with choreography, lights, and, you know. And sometimes the movie just stops and you watch the concert for a little bit. So
Not very long.
But you do feel like you're in it, you know?
Yeah, don't mislead people. It's like a minute, maybe, or less of a few lines of a song, but that's what you're focused on.
But then they'll cut back to Dad saying something to the daughter.
Correct.
And yeah, I don't think I've seen that setup for a movie before. And that makes it feel new, kind of, but it isn't. Like the actual what's going on is very, you've seen it before, right?
Mm.
You've seen somebody trying to outwit the police.
Correct.
Or that kind of thing, which is what's happening here.
So you're saying there is no twist?
Well, because I'd already, and again, I don't normally figure things out before they happen, but in this one, I didn't know where it was going for a while. It just felt like, what the hell is, there's kind of two halves to the movie. There's the part that takes place in the concert, and then it leaves the concert at, like halfway through. And then there's the back half of the movie where I wasn't quite sure where it was going then.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Because I was like, okay, he's in this limousine. Where eventually would this go? So where it actually eventually did go wasn't what I was expecting.
Mm.
The part with the wife, I'd kind of tagged onto that. I don't know how or why. Yeah, there was no twist for me. Or maybe the twist, big spoiler, is that I think he gets away at the end.
I don't
mean,
know.
That's a big twist to me.
It's a question mark.
I thought he was going to end up dead.
Oh, right.
I thought the police were going to eventually bring him down, like he made a mistake. And they kept doing this thing where he's kind of neat.
He's got OCD.
Yeah, it happened right at the beginning where he was folding a napkin and making sure it was perfect. And then he had to hang a thing on the wall. And I was like, is that the thing that's going to get him? But that wasn't the thing that was going to get him.
That's the thing that kind of gets him off the hook.
Yeah, out of the trap.
I think we're making too much of the trap, and I'm still convinced that the trap is the movie itself, that we are trapped in the idea of M. Night Shyamalan, and that whatever he does, he's set the trap for us to think a
what
certain
you actually
thing.
said was we are trapped watching the M Night Shyamalan movie and listening to his daughter's music.
Which I didn't
That's
mind.
the trap.
Don't make it sound like I'm like, ugh. I mean, I'm not into that kind of music, but I didn't mind. It seemed...
I'm going to make you listen to 90 minutes of my daughter. Thank you.
We can't prove that that's not the truth.
I mean, and if that is the truth, that's also a cool twist.
That's fine.
Yeah,
you
I like
can't argue with the person who has designed his own way of making us watch his movies. That's fine.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, that is the ultimate, like, I've got you all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that is not out of question.
And you are going to buy the album, or you're not leaving the theatre.
In my M Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, that's it. You're
world.
in the auditorium, you go and watch this, and then you try and get out, the doors are locked, and you have to buy the album on the way out.
Correct.
Yeah. There's the trap. All right, let's get on to the cast. Anything else to add for the actual movie?
I just really thought it was a good experience.
Did you like it better than Old?
Yes.
So did I.
I don't normally compare, but if I'm talking about experience of movies and the sort of like the roller coaster you go on with, again, we're going to mention that it's M Night Shyamalan. And so your brain is your trap, right? Oh, maybe that's the trap, your brain.
Oh, it works on all levels.
It does. It's your expectation combined with the style, the story. Then what's going to happen? It's like your own adrenaline is kind of mixed in there somehow, or whatever it is that makes you like, oh, is this the thing? Is that the thing? Is this going to be the thing? Am I watching the right person? Should I believe what they're saying? Right?
Yes.
In Old, it didn't, because as we unfold the Old, we won't spoil that one. I was like, that's it?
Yeah, and Old was actually a graphic novel that already existed that he just converted.
And again, I set up my own trap of expectation.
Yeah, and this one he wrote himself, so this was not I'm going to take some other work. Which I think is where it's best for M. Night Shyamalan. I feel like he's best doing his own.
Some people are, like Kevin Smith. I think he's best with his own stuff. Like, you know.
Because when it's like, oh, it's a thing that already exists, it's your turn to make that. There's a lot of baggage with that.
Absolutely.
Josh Hartnett plays Cooper. I feel like you liked him.
I liked him a lot. I was, from the very beginning, he just sort of took control, and then the slow panic, and it was really slow and subtle without you even knowing. And then you kind of catch up with your brain like, oh, that's why he was eyeballing every door, but in a very like kind of protecting the daughter kind of way, you know, almost. I mean, it wasn't spoken or anything, but just, and so the close-ups on his face and the tension in that one lower eyelid that he would flicker a little bit. I mean, that's good stuff.
Yeah, there was parts where he was talking to somebody. He knows who he is. They don't know who he is. And they say something, and it kind of like flicks something in him.
Yep.
And you can see him like he's kind of rolling his eyes slightly or something. And you're like, oh, there's one time where he's just, he's so brazen. He's literally in a room full of police.
Yeah.
And then a policeman says to him, do you know where the sugar is? Because there's like a coffee station. And he just like gives...
He pretends to be an employee. Yeah. He does it just smooth. Like.
But he's so smooth and like...
But then the wife addresses that later when he's questioning her, like, how did she know? And why did she kind of turn him in and all that stuff? And she says, because one time you lied to our neighbor without even thinking about it. Like, and it was, she's like, I was even convinced and I knew it was a lie. And so now when you rewind in your brain over the course of the movie, he's a good pretender. But now once you know he's bad, you see his little tells of like, he's almost on the verge of telling people to just, or stabbing them or whatever he's going to do.
I like the scene where he's talking to the wife at the end with the pie part.
Yeah, very good.
And he says, and this is different. He says.
He's actually, I think he's been convinced in his whole life that he's just bad. Like he calls himself a monster. And so he does these horrible things. But then when his wife, and he reveals, you know, it's all revealed that she's, the reason she kind of led the police in his direction, he's now angry, like a kind of rage that he's never experienced.
He's also angry that he failed by keeping the two lives separate. That was one of his things.
But I think that once he's got the anger, and if he does escape at the end, which we don't know, that's a bad combination.
Yes.
Then that means he's kind of like Art the Clown up until now. He's just doing it because he wants to do it.
Yeah.
And then if you add anger in there and resentment and revenge, I mean, that's bad.
He might be a little kinder than Art.
I don't think so. You saw the crime scene photos, right? We weren't there. Maybe he. Oh, is that the twist? He is Art the Clown. Are these two franchises going to be together?
That's it.
Is it a franchise? So in the next one, we're going to see him turn into Art the Clown.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Art the Clown is, it's from Terrifier.
All right. Secondly, we've got Ariel Donahue as Riley. She's the daughter.
Absolutely excellent.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And I would have liked even more of her. She was absolutely.
I bought that she was a teenage fan of this pop star. This day meant the world to her.
Yep.
And Dad knows that too. But for her, it's like, this is the ultimate day. There'll never be anything better than this. And I really felt that. We got Cidtalk Shyamalan. She's the Lady Raven. She's M. Night's daughter. And she's a very good singer. I've got to give her that.
Yes. And like I said, I'm not a fan of this music necessarily, but I was
R&B.
fine. I wasn't making a stretch to give her a pass. I mean, it was good.
Now,
and her performance as a actor, also good.
There was a little bit of ropiness when she was an actor.
Oh, I don't know. I think she was nervous. She's supposed to be nervous.
Yes.
She knows everything hinges on her because the FBI is using her as the quote unquote trap to get the person to, sift through the crowd. But then also he said when he sees people like her, because she gets on the stage and she does this little spiel about, whoever's wronged you in your life, if you forgive them and let it go, it makes you feel better as a person. She seems pretty put together, like emotionally. Now, she's a performer. She's singing a song to you at a concert. But he said, people like you make me angry because no one can be well adjusted. Like no one is well balanced. But I think she is. That's why when she's kind of trapped in the car with him, she figures out to turn it into because he's got resentment toward his mother, of course, as a lot of serial killer people seem to. And she starts kind of playing on his psychology. And I thought she did a really good job. I mean, as a performer, performing as a performer, now trying to act. I thought she did fine.
I thought she was a very good singer, though. I really enjoyed her singing. Alison Pearl plays Rachel. She's the wife.
Yeah, she made me so nervous for her.
Yeah. It does look really bad for Rachel towards the end, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And Hayley Mills plays Dr. Josephine Grant. Now, she's like this profiler that they brought in.
FBI profiler.
Yeah. I thought she was going to be more important than she turned out to be.
It's pretty neutral.
Yeah. She just, there was a lot of lingering shots of her.
Yeah. Well, because she's her, first of all. I mean, she's Hayley Mills, right? She's a big...
I'm not familiar with her, to be fair.
She's from the original Parent Trap. She was
really?
She was played the twins, long time ago.
Well, it was lost on me. But I was like, why are we looking at her so much? And looking at her from behind, looking at her from the front. And she stood looking in this window and looking at everybody. I'm
just looking intensely all the time.
Yeah, intense. And she got a very authoritarian British accent. It's part of it because she's the one who's telling everybody, this is how we find him. This is what we do.
This is what movie's going to make next. Just as he's about to pull the fire alarm, he's snagged one of their walkie-talkies, and in his ear, he hears her say, he's going to try to cause chaos. He might pull a fire alarm, and his hand is right on the fire alarm. So he's like, right, she's figured me out.
He's profiling.
Yeah.
Directed by M. Night Shyamalan. He also is actually in the movie, like he always is. And you know what? I think that might have been his best performance. He felt like natural to me rather than, oh, look, there's M. Night Shyamalan. He's a guy in the...
Oh, no, I was like, oh, look, M. Night Shyamalan.
I mean, I knew it was him, but what I'm saying is he didn't seem... Sometimes he feels a bit wooden or phony with his lines. Because he's not really an actor.
The only lines he had, he was talking about how great his own daughter really was.
That's right.
So I think it was...
It's a trap.
Not much. Yes. It's all a trap.
He's directed other movies. Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Trilogy, Old, Knock at the Cabin. Knock at the Cabin was his last one, actually.
Oh, Knock at the Cabin. I didn't mind that one. I mean, was that?
I liked it until the end.
Yeah, but the end is you got to be like, oh, so okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Signs is another one of his.
Of course.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that one.
So he's made some great movies. What do you think he's directing? I mean, this is like a unique thing.
It's well made. That's what I said. Yeah. I think it's really well made and really interesting, and it looks good. I mean, I always like to have movies where the lighting is I know that sounds nerdy-ish, and I don't know enough about cinema, like a nerdy cinema person to be, well, the tone of the light on the scale of yellow or blue is not that, but I just mean when they're in the crowd of the concert and still able to have a conversation with the dad and the daughter, and they are yelling at each other because you do at a concert, and yet it is right.
Yeah, it's not
like
you don't not understand it. Yeah,
right. The volume of everybody else isn't like wiped away where you're like, that's not how it is at a concert. I mean, I know that, again, that sounds kind of weird, but that is an observation. And also just the pace of it and the editing, and I'm sure he's involved in the editing, where
I think he is his own editor.
Looking around and that kind of quick but not super panicked way that they have him reacting. And again, I always think a good director, part of their job as the big project manager, is to get the best that they want out of the people. And I think that, to me, is the biggest nod in this movie.
Yes. All right, IMDB reviews. These are the reviews from people on IMDb. I'm going to look at the people who give this movie a 1 out of 10 to see what they think.
Right on.
Because they're usually the most entertaining. So let's get on to the 1-star reviews. Oh, how many 1-star reviews would you think there are for this movie?
7 or 7,000. One of those two.
There are 230 1-star reviews.
Okay. Is that a lot? You look at them every week.
Yeah, that is a lot. Sometimes there's only 2 or 3. This is a lot.
Are the classics all there? You know, it's a waste of time.
Well, let's see.
The worst movie ever made.
Number 1 says, this movie is brutally, laughably awful.
Okay, brutal and okay.
And that's it. That's all they say. That's the shortest review ever.
To the point.
Number 2 says, I don't really bother writing reviews normally, but for this movie, it wasted 1 hour and 30 minutes of my life.
That's a classic. Thank you.
But I couldn't resist writing a review after there's so many 10 out of 10s for this. It's obviously they're all wrote by bots.
I was going to add that to the list of classics this week. I just forgot. People think now, if they don't like a movie and someone else does, it's because they're a bot. And that's not true, because you and I are not AI bots. And I have no way of proving that to the person listening to this, but it's the truth.
I am a bot. Second one says, this feels like a promotional film for a singer.
Fair enough.
I was really looking forward to this well-constructed thriller that would build up tension and surprise me. But guess what? The singer on the stage is M. Night's daughter.
And?
That's it. That's all he says.
How does that negatively affect your experience, my darling?
And this guy might have what we were saying earlier. He says, this movie should be called Here's My Daughter, Suckers.
That's the trap.
He says this was a ploy, trap, to showcase his daughter and launch her career. Terrible movie.
I'm in such a mood that I can fucking accept that. I can take it. You know what? If you don't like the movie, that's fine. Or you don't want to watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie because you're like, he's just a shill now for his own self and now for his kid. Okay, I don't give a shit. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
It's a piece of art that exists in the world.
There's a little bit more to this.
Oh, to the review?
He says, there are so many plot holes. Why was the friend's mom a psych ward crazy person? Why was the profiler 103 years old? And why did the wife drop a hint and not call the damn police? Why is the dialogue so artificial and awkward? If there's an emergency SWAT team that will prevent it by not letting thousands of men leave a stadium.
The end.
Yeah, at the end.
I have done writing my stuff.
Yeah. So those are the 1-star reviews. Extras, there are some extras.
Okay.
M. Night Shyamalan. If you had any say in this box for the Blu-ray, black writing with a red background, that is not a good look.
We do not agree with this style choice. So I can't read it.
The special features are Setting the Trap, a new M. Night Shyamalan experience, Salika as Lady Raven, deleted scenes, and extended concert scenes. So if you want to watch the whole of the concert songs, you can on the disc. So let's give this movie a score. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give Trap a 6 out of 10.
I think that's fair, but I'm going to go 6.5.
It sounds low, but I feel like that's where it sits.
I agree. And it's because it doesn't do the like big vibration of like, ooh, I'm so glad I like movies, right? That's a pretty high standard to set. But for a day like today, where my mind is, and for this kind of movie to entertain me and make me feel like, oh, I really enjoyed that, that deserves something.
Yes.
Oh, above average. I think it's 6.5. I'm going to go.
Right.
We're peaking up there.
All right. Thanks to Warner Brothers. Next week, we're going to look at the new movie Blink Twice. And
okay.
You know what that is?
Well, Blink, wasn't that the one with the...
Oh, it's nothing to do with that.
Oh.
It's an original movie. And it's directed by Zoe Kravitz.
Okay.
So we'll look at that next week. Movie recommendations, I went with M Night Shyamalan. I went with Unbreakable, Split, and Glass, the trilogy.
Okay.
And then I went with Josh Hartnett, The Faculty, which is a cool horror movie from a long time ago. It was actually one of the first DVDs I bought. And I watched it a lot because it's all I had.
Let's tell them something romantic. Was it in the box that after
Yes.
we met on the old-timey internet back in 1998, just for any of you kids thinking it didn't exist back then, it did. But it wasn't like it is now. That's a whole podcast right there. But when we met and then you decided to fly all the way here to meet me, which was lovely, then we decided we wanted to be together. You mailed me preciously
like a giant box.
a box of your DVD collection, which in 1999 was a big deal. And guess what? It's still a big deal. And you mailed them to me. My uncle was like, oh, look at all the stamps on the box and everything because it had come from England. So it must have been in that box.
It was definitely in
The
that box.
Rock, wasn't that your first one? And you sent me that. That was the first one we reviewed. I don't know if that was your...
Con Air was my first one.
Con Air, right?
Yeah. So I had like Con Air. I had this one.
There's our rom-com for the day. You sending me your box of DVDs. Maybe that should be a movie. Oh,
Yeah.
we could write that shit.
All right. So your recommendations are?
My recommendations are going back to the 20th century, and I feel like these are all from the 90s. I'm not sure. It's not a matter of quality or genre or anything. There is no reasoning here. It's just movies I've seen. So if you want to be like me, kids, and you want to grow up and be just like Cidtalk, watch all these movies. The Last Seduction, one of your favorite.
Linda Florentino.
The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, which is Jodie Foster when she was a girl, and it's very creepy and inappropriate. However, it exists, and there you go. Double Jeopardy, also of those 90s. I think that was Winona Judd's sister, maybe. Kiss the Girls, which is one of the, I think that's...
Morgan Freeman, I think.
I think that was her, too. While You Were Sleeping with...
Keanu.
And...
Furiosa.
While You're Sleeping is not.
Oh, Sandra Bullock?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not Keanu Reeves, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking of.
There's no Keanu Reeves in well, no, you're thinking of something in November. That's Keanu Reeves and Furiosa.
If that's what I'm thinking, yeah. Is it the same thing?
Pretty close. While You Were Sleeping, yeah.
Thank you. Ascully stuff. I just wanted to mention that we, while we didn't review these movies, we did, for Halloween, watch the Terrifier trilogy, all 3 movies. And Cidtalk, you were like, Terrifier movie, meh.
I'm kind of meh about horror anyway. Like, gore horror is not really my...
I really like a bit of gore horror.
I'm neutral because I find it sort of dumb, but I like a movie that I am interested in the way it looks, the vibe, the main characters were fine, and so I didn't hate it, and I didn't super love it, and I do not understand the mass appeal. I don't understand. So if someone could explain to me.
I think the mass appeal is that it just goes for it. It's hardcore.
It is hardcore.
Yeah.
But so is like Hostel and...
Yeah, I don't even think they go for it as hard as this does.
I don't know.
And I think people like a...
schlock.
Freddy Krueger / Pennywise, that kind of iconic character. Art the Clown Weirdly, last night we watched Terrifier 3, the newest one. There are times where I'm just laughing my head off at something so disgusting you couldn't even describe it. But I'm laughing at it because of Art the Clown.
So what does that say about you?
I don't know.
Let me figure it out.
I think that must be like part of its appeal. Like Art the Clown is like something else. He's very
horrible.
Yeah, like all the horrible characters you've seen in the past, your Freddy Kruegers, your Michael Myers, they're all kind of in him, but he's also got this weird sense of humor.
And also, he's polite, sort of.
Yeah, and he does things that surprise you. Like he murders an entire family, and then what does he do? He washes the dishes in the house.
Right, well, he ate off the plate.
Yeah,
so I feel
that's
like
what I'm saying. It's things where you just look at it and go, why is he doing that? Oh, he has his own little rules. He really does. Yeah, so there's something about Art the Clown. I also like watching the progression of the three films, like...
Maybe I need to rewind to 1998 and rethink a few things. Because my mom said, when I said a person from England is coming to meet me in person, she said, what if he's a serial killer?
I am Art the Clown.
What if he's an axe murderer? And I'm like, he's not going to fly all the way over here. To murder me and then fly all the way back. And I don't know. Maybe you're super clever. Maybe you're in it for the long game because it's been 25 years. So.
Well, I appreciated the Terrifier trilogy.
You do.
I do like grimy kind of, low budget horror.
You do.
And that's what this is. And somehow Art the Clown,
does it for you.
Well, I find him, he's very funny. And I'm scared of clowns in a way.
You hate clowns, so this is fascinating.
But with him, I just find him very funny. And he's really terrible, don't get me wrong. He does the most heinous things you've possibly... Some of the things you have never actually seen before on film. And now you have. And you're like, oh, that's happening? That's disgusting. But then in the next scene, he's doing something where it makes me laugh. It's really weird. I guess it's on the same page as Freddy Krueger.
Is that the genius of it?
Well, Freddy Krueger did something disgusting and then you laughed at him as well, right? So
I never laughed at Freddy Krueger. I thought he was like the most boring character of all time.
He's definitely not as good
for the first movie.
I think Art the Clown is better than Freddy Krueger.
Better as in I would watch another movie with him. I'm not interested in another movie with Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, me neither, really. So yeah, we watched Terrifier trilogy. I really liked it. You kind of liked it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it.
Right. Would you watch another Terrifier movie? Because there will be one.
I would, because I'm having you also tell me about you watching interviews and stuff, because you like to follow up on directors and writers and all that kind of stuff. And
I really dig the director.
Yeah, and from what I've heard from you, because I'm taking secondhand information, I would support whatever project. And if I watch one and I'm like, oh my God, this guy now I'm not interested, then I would tap out.
He's like a guy who's like, I'm a horror fan. I've been a horror fan all my life. I could probably make a horror movie. And then actually, most people don't. He decided he would.
Right.
With very little money. And turns out, I thought the first one that he did, I think even though that one's so low budget, it still holds up as a horror movie.
Oh, they hold it. They all have the same vibe.
Yeah.
So he doesn't lose
It's creepy as shit.
It's creepy. It's
gory.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Looks good as in, again, I like lighting and shot setup and the way that you do like composition of things and the sets and kind of paying attention to the grunge of the world that they're in. And or in the third one, there's the like Christmassy vibe, and it's totally in your face. So I think he does a good job overall.
Yes. So Cidtalk, what's for dinner?
You're making something.
Some kind of quesadilla.
Ah, very good. That's a meal box quesadilla that we're having because we get meal boxes. And no, we're not sponsored.
HelloFresh.
If any meal box would like to sponsor us, let me know. Because we're all in on the meal boxes. You cook them, I eat them. It's perfect.
And what's your advice? And let's get out of it.
My advice isn't advice, as always, but it's just an observation. And, I tried to always add to how I understand people in this life because, I might live 80 years. It's a long time. I might as well fill it with something, right?
Yes.
Thinking about people is one of those things. And I've noticed lately, and I'll start with this. I feel absolute, I'm gritting my teeth so you can hear me gritting my teeth. I feel absolute rage in my fibers of my being when people fucking refuse to listen to you, when they're sitting there feeling sorry for themselves, and I'm not talking about big bad things, I'm talking about the generic feel sorry for yourself and repeat the same thing, you know, I'm a screw up, I'm a screw up, I'm a screw up. And you're like, well, no, you know, everybody's got to live their life. This is how I approach it. Everybody lives their life. I mean, I'm not talking about if you are an Art the Clown kind of character. I'm just talking about in general, people talking about and knocking themselves down and being convinced that they're a piece of shit, right? And then my philosophy is, okay, we've all done things we don't like, but everything you're doing is your life. And you have an opportunity every time you think I'm a piece of shit. Oh, what do I do different the next time, right? How do I talk to someone differently the next time? How do I act differently the next time? So even I don't feel like a piece of shit, or I don't perceive that people think that about me, all that kind of stuff. And when people absolutely refuse to even accept the words that are coming out of your mouth, where you're trying to kind of big them up with the truth. You're not a serial killer, so you're not that bad. Now, maybe that's not a rave review, but that's kind of my approach. I get absolute anger, and I don't get angry about hardly anything in this life. I can kind of process things, break it down, and be like, oh, that makes me seethe. I am the seether, you know, in that song.
Yeah.
And what I want other people to know also, that's a reasonable response if you can process it and do something positive with that rage and don't turn it into the world and break shit or be horrible to other people. Like, process it like I do. I feel like I break it down into particles, figure out why I feel it, and then I try to reason with myself about, like, what do I do with that energy? So I draw something or do something or watch a movie and have a podcast with my husband or have a good meal or just drive long distances and think a lot, right? That helps me diffuse all of my bombs. So that's the way I do it. So do that, but just remember, and this is me telling you, so if you're sitting there convinced that you deserve for people to ignore you, you're wrong. You're just wrong. And for them to try to push onto you the responsibility of making them feel better and then refusing to listen to you, that is unreasonable. And it's unreasonable every fucking time. I don't care who it is. I don't care if they're your closest friend or member of your family or your most cherished human in the whole world. For someone to put onto you the responsibility to make them feel better and then refuse to accept what you're telling them as an honest, genuine truth, right? To help them or maybe give them a new perspective on it. If they refuse, that's all their problem to solve. That is not your problem to solve. And you can separate that and then not be their cheerleader anymore. And while that does cause a lot of problems, that can break families apart, it is not your job in this life to be that kicking post, so to speak, you know, that person. Just, that's it. Like, you are not responsible to tell them how to be how great they are and have them continually push you back so that they know you're there to whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know what it's called. I'm sure in psychology there's a term for it, but yeah, it's totally normal to be angry with people who just refuse to crawl out of their own hole, basically, is what I would say.
Well said. Hole. Always finish on hole.
Finish in a hole. Oh my God.
All right, let's get on to the finale of the show.
The finale.
Ascully.com. That's the place you can go to get this podcast. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's our social media handles. I'm Ascully, she's Cidtalk. You can also go to, where can you go? You can go to Amazon. You can go to iTunes, Spotify, anywhere that podcasts are available. Email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Do not email Cidtalk. She doesn't want your emails. And stay classy, Mr. M Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. I'm looking forward to the next one.
And I'm going to say, think for yourself, because if you're not doing it, someone's doing it for you.